All right, welcome in everybody. Nice to have you here. Let's we're gonna recap what we've gone over. I did send an email out. It was a little bit closer to the 12 o'clock mark, so I apologize if you didn't get a chance to read that. I just recapped what I would consider the 4 parts of the mind. Typically in yoga tradition, just so we know, there's 3 parts. There's the manas, there's the ahamkara, and the buddhi. And what I like in Alan Finger's book here, the Tantra of the Yoga Sutras, is he talks about smriti almost like as a 4th facet of the mind. It's the memory bank, or like he talks about it relates to the hard drive of a computer. I think it's really important. I mean, in the Yoga Sutras, they talk about smriti, the memory bank, but not as a part of the mind, just as a function of the mind, let's say. But I think it helps to compartmentalize the mind in those 4 parts. We have the sense perceiver, the part of us that is taking in information and trying to figure out, what's happening around us. Okay, and a lot of the mental chatter that we have in our mind is just basically the mind reacting to everything that's around us. And the reactions are also based on our smriti, our memory. So if we have a memory of something, let's say, like a bird pooped on our head when we were little, and that was like a little micro trauma, then we might, if we hear a bird close to our face, we might react differently than if we didn't have that memory bank, right? So our memory bank, certainly our smriti, affects how our senses or our manas is behaving. It's taking in information and it's basing it on our memory bank, our smriti. Okay, and then we have ego, or the ahamkara, which is the identity, the part of us that is asking, well, what does all this information have to do with me and my sense of I-ness? This box that I've put myself in and defined myself as. And really that ego is really a safety net. It's to put, opinion here, I'm speculating, the ego is formed as a way for us to feel steady and safe and defined in living in a world that is otherwise unsteady, ultimately unsafe. We're all we're all moving towards death, and ultimately it's undefinable. We live in an experience that is constantly and magnificently unknown, and yet the ego tries to help us live in this. So it puts definitions, it puts a box around something that is otherwise unboxable. And I think it's a really beneficial aspect humanity allows us to go throughout our day and enjoy our roles that we play in society and whatnot. But it becomes a problem when the ego is not flexible and it becomes so entrenched in the idea that it is only this. And then, of course, we have the buddhi, which is the intellect that can either be used to strengthen the ego, or it can also be used to dismantle the ego. It's what we could use in order to break down our belief systems and question them, and to go beyond the confines and the roles that we play within our families, in our societies, in our life. Okay, it's what we can use to go beyond this limited experience of humanity to experience our fullness of all we are. Okay, so these are the parts of the mind. I reviewed that in the email. Hopefully you got that, and if it might be helpful to see it in writing instead of just me telling you about it. But now we're going to move forward. The question is, like, what do you do with all this information? And we defined kind of our goal last class was to move towards samadhi, this state of oneness, this place within us that is that we can all take a temporary vacation from these 4 quadrants of the mind, meaning we can take a moment and stop receiving all of, or stop processing what the senses are bringing in. And so in yoga, there's a lot of practices to remove some of the senses so that it's easier to go inward. Okay, but we don't need to close our eyes in order to go inward. It's just helpful, okay? So we use that as a tool. And then we have, hopefully in samadhi, well, not hopefully, but in samadhi, there's a lapse of memory, and it's just being completely in this moment, in the now. Okay, the smriti kind of dissolves, and our ego, our identity, ahamkara, kind of relaxes for a second or a moment in time to allow us the experience to remember, as we used this analogy last time, that we as the drop, this are just a separation for a moment in time and space that allows us this unique experience of being a human. And that's a privilege and a magnificent opportunity for us. And at the same time, we're still the contents of the ocean, just separated by time and space. So samadhi is the releasing of the walls of identity in the belief system that we are, who we are and we're not, and then we are separate then. Basically ego has to do with separation. So dissolving that separation happens in samadhi, in that state. And then finally, using the intellect instead of to defend our belief systems, we can use it, we can turn inward towards awareness and to inquire instead of to know, to be a know-it-all, like I already know this. Oh yeah, I know that, I know this, I know this. That's what the buddhi will do on the outside. It will attain knowledge externally, and it will be the knower. But the buddhi has the ability to actually know on a deeper level than knowledge on the outside, which is to say, its ability to not know, which requires a relaxing of the ego, because if you're identified with the knower, then the buddhi will always work against you to strengthen the knower. It will always be looking to be the knower and will never be able to turn back inward towards the source of awareness, which is the place of unknown. It's very tricky, right? So the knower within us has to release its ability or release its tie to being the knower and allow its skill set as the buddhi, the intellect, to flip inward and reflect what is unknown, that which is beyond the confines of our identities and our roles and our memory and what our senses are able to perceive. We know that there are things that we are not able to receive or understand about the way life is because we don't have senses. For example, we have there's very minimal research saying that we have the ability to experience magnetism, whereas certain beings on this planet can actually sense through magnetic fields. So there are senses that we don't have, and therefore we don't have a full, there's a lot that we cannot perceive. We cannot receive through our senses. And so we cannot understand it fully. There's a lot of unknown. And being comfortable in that is like the buddhi has the opportunity to reflect inward and ask this question, or just simply ask questions. And that would be to be inquisitive, or to be what the yogis would call self-inquisitive is the right word, but to practice self-inquiry. And that's where we are leaving off today. So moving forward with what we're working to today. So if we have this goal in this training to get towards this experience of samadhi, which is an experience of universal consciousness, the disillusion or the connection back to the realization that we are part of something much bigger, that the ocean of consciousness is already actually within us. And we can, there's nothing really to attain. It's just simply to peel back all the layers that hold us back or distract us from experiencing that fullness of all we are. And so that's the goal of this immersion, while the goal of yoga is much further beyond that. That's just a temporary moment, but it can provide us with massive perspective to come back into our everyday life, so that we're not just living in this I am the ocean, which could lead to all sorts of egoic what's the word, demigod kind of things, where we might then get false sense of bigness, whereas what it really, hopefully it does, leads us to compassionate living, which is called viveka, which is the ultimate path of yoga, is to get to a place where, yes, we recognize that that the ocean is within us, and it's also within everyone around us and all things around us. And as a result, we try to do the least amount of harm to everyone, because we recognize that it's all part of us. It's all part of one, and I am a part of you. And from that place, hopefully we can have compassion for the different sides of the human experience, or the different sides of nature's expressions, okay? And this can be a daunting task at first, so we just start with moving towards samadhi. So how do we do that? How do we get towards samadhi? I mean, we defined that path last time, but Yoga Sutras 2.1 really lays it out for us in a kind of nonchalant way, like, oh yeah, you just do this. Where is it? It's, well, I don't know where it is, but it's tapas swadhyaya ishvara pranidhana. Hold on one second, let me find the actual, because that's a abbreviated version of what it is. So yeah, tapas swadhyaya svara pranidhanani kriya yoga. Okay, so what this means, essentially, there's many translations. What you need to know about the Yoga Sutras is they're not written in sentences and paragraphs. It's like tapas swadhyaya svara pranidhanani kriya yoga. Those are like just a few words put together. If we are to break it down, tapas, like very simply, tapas means effort, swadhyaya, awareness, ishvara pranidhana, surrender. So basically it just says effort, awareness, surrender is the practice of kriya yoga. Kriya means action. So action, the yoga of action, or action yoga, contains three things: effort, awareness, and surrender. Now that's very simplified, and there's multiple translations of what this really means. And what I think really defines it, if you read the rest of the Yoga Sutras, you really kind of get a bigger context for what the importance of this one section. Tapas swadhyaya svara. So tapas is like the effort or the rigor of practice. It's the intensity that we put into stepping into the practices of swadhyaya, which is of self-awareness or self-inquiry. Self-awareness is the result of practices of self-inquiry. Self-inquiry on multiple levels. Now, this is kind of where you get into the layers of yourself, where we have the physical body, the outermost layer. Then we have the prana maya kosha, the pranic layer, the breath. That's not accurate, but the energy that is the result of our breath, the energy that is the result of how we eat, the energy that is the result of how we sleep. So those are the practices or the actions to produce or to maintain energy within our system. The energy is prana, according to the yogis. So we have this physical body, it's filled with prana, filled with energy, and then we have this mind that is able to collect all of this into an experience that we call our life. And those three layers, in my opinion, are where we're really practicing swadhyaya, and it requires tapas. Tapas is the effort, the routine recursiveness of stepping into practice. Recursiveness meaning like this, every time you step, it has to be constant. It can't be something that's like, well, I went on a retreat and I practiced self-inquiry and I gained some self-awareness and then I went back to my life. It's a daily experience, an hourly, it becomes a part of you, it becomes recursive because it becomes the way you exist, that you're constantly self-reflecting and inquiring. Curiosity is such a huge word in tantric philosophy because it embodies this idea that you are questioning, not just knowing. Curiosity is basically a willingness to flip the buddhi, the intellect, around and ask. Now you can question on the surface, question about like, well, does this plant have water or not? It definitely needs water, right? That's surface level inquiry, whereas the type of inquiry the Yoga Sutras is asking of us is about our life and our experience. And of course, we want to translate that for Viveka, compassionate living, to how we show up in the world, how we exist within relationships, friendships, connection to others. Okay, so, or to nature itself. And then surrendering, Ishvara Pranidhana is really surrendering to the divine order of the universe itself. Really, that's when we talk about Pranidhanani, Ishvara. You can talk about surrender to the results of the process, recognizing I'm going to put all this effort in and I'm going to be recursive about it. I'm going to step into it again and again. This is the tapas, and I'm going to inquire and become swadhyaya, really become more self-aware. And at the same time, it may not produce many results, especially in the timing that I would like it to. So it's surrender to the experience of this practice, or surrender to the practice itself, surrender to the process, or surrender to the divine order or timing and tempo of the universe itself, to all that we cannot control. Okay, so let's rock this asana practice. Apologize, it was a long philosophical beginning, and I will try to speed that up, but I do want to give that context for us all. And welcome in Patricia, I believe. Is it Patricia or Patricia? Not sure, but hello. All right, let's take a breath in, arch the back and look up. Exhale, round the spine. Inhale, arch, look up. Exhale, round. Inhale, arch, look up. This time, exhale, round, but move back to child's pose. We're going to take a swim. The right arm reaches back, up and around. Open up the chest. Exhale, release back, child's pose. Same thing on the left. Inhale. Exhale. Right side. Exhale. Really big circles. Inhale. One more each side. Right side. Inhale. Left side. All fours, hands and knees. Inhale. Oops, sorry about that. Exhale, downward facing dog. Take a breath here. If you want to pedal out the legs, you're welcome to. Shift forward to plank pose. Inhale, grip the ground. Exhale, lower chaturanga. Just the back muscles. Inhale, lift the chest. Exhale, release. The back and buttocks. So lift the chest and the feet. Inhale. Exhale. Let's include the shoulders now. Hands, feet, chest. Exhale. All fours. Tuck toes, lead with the tailbone up, down dog. Right leg to the sky. Step right foot forward. Place the back knee down. Pull the two knees toward each other. Get a little lift in the hips, strengthen the legs. Inhale, reach the arms up, interlace the fingers at the top, Kali Mudra. So index finger up. Get long, reach the right, wiggle, 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 right and left side up tall. Press the low ribs and hips forward and take the hands only back. As you pull your back knee forward, lift the belly, lift the heart, press it to the sky, take a full breath in. Exhale, you can bend the elbows, release the hands. Straighten through both legs. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, bow. Bend the front knee, inhale. Down dog. Forward to plank. Knees down, chaturanga. Hands, feet, and heart. Exhale. All fours. Tuck toes, down dog. Left leg to the sky. Step, left foot forward. Back knee down. Inhale, rise up. We're going to interlace the hands at the top. Kali Mudra. So, pull the knees toward each other, let the hips lift up. Suction the abdomen up and wiggle right and left side up tall as you can get away from your hips. Press the low and middle back forward. Okay, and take the arms back as a result. Low and middle back forward. Lift the chest up, press it to the sky. One more breath in, lift up. Exhale, bend the elbows, release the hands to the ground. Straighten through the front leg, inhale, look forward. Exhale, bow. Bend the front knee. Step down dog. Forward to plank. Knees down, lower chaturanga. This time slide your hands and feet wide, three-part cobra. Inhale, lift the front body. Exhale, melt. Pull the chest forward, press the chest forward, lift through the back of the skull. Lift the front ribs up. Exhale, release. All fours, hands and knees. Tuck the toes, exhale, down dog. Right leg to the sky on the inhale. This time, bend the knee, open up the hip as you exhale. Take a full breath in here. Full breath out. Straighten the legs, square the hip. Take a breath in. Step forward as you exhale. Back knee comes down, Anjaneyasana. Reach up. Exhale, fingertips to either side of the front foot. Straighten both legs. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, bow forward. Bend the front knee. This time rise up, high lunge. Hands to the sky. Hold here. Press both feet down and drag them toward one another until you feel your upper inner groins activate. Now try to get taller. Lift the right and the left side up taller. Get the ribs up tall like you're trying to reach the sky. Now bend the elbows and pull the shoulder blades toward each other so you open up the chest. Press the chest forward and lift it up to the sky. Full breath in and out. Reach the hands back. Inhale, full breath in. Heart forward, forward, forward. Exhale, slow. Release the hands to the ground. Lean forward. This time, straighten through the front leg and flex the front foot. Exhale, bow over your straight front foot slowly. Front leg, that is. Inhale, bend the front knee. Step to down dog. Plank pose, inhale. And lower the knees, chaturanga. Hands and feet wide. Fingertips, inhale, three-part cobra. Melt. Lengthen. Release. All fours, hands and knees. Tuck the toes, exhale, down dog. Left leg to the sky, inhale. Step forward. Back knee down, Anjaneyasana. Inhale, rise up, lift the sides of the body up. Exhale, release, hands to the ground. Straighten through both legs. Inhale, lengthen forward. Exhale, bow. Bend the front knee. Inhale, rise, high lunge. Hold here. Get strong in the legs. Press your feet down and drag them toward one another so your hips feel like they're rising, but from the strength and stability of them. Then from that stability, get long. Reach to the left and right side up taller, shoulders up higher. Keep the rib cage high, bend the elbows and pull open your heart so your pectoral muscles stretch here by drawing your shoulder blades together. Send the front ribs, the low rib cage, forward into a back bend. Stay strong in the legs. That's the tapas, that's the effort. Then that recursive, even though something is changing, you're still staying steady. You're revisiting the activation of the legs, even though you're adding something else on. Okay, now reach the arms back. Take a big breath, lift the heart up. Exhale, release the arms, and then the fingers to the ground. Straighten through the front leg option, flex the foot. Exhale, bow. Bend the front knee, inhale. Step to down dog. Forward to plank pose, inhale. This time we'll lower all the way onto the belly. Take the right forearm across the mat. Bend your left knee, turn your torso to grab for your left foot for a thigh stretch. Ardha Bekasana. So reach for the foot and just bring it towards your outer hip the best you can. Obviously, my thighs are fairly open, so this is probably gonna look extreme to you. Just get to a point where you feel some level of stretch, not overdoing it. Okay, now your left knee, press your left thigh down into the ground. So you see my left hip, instead of it kind of collapsing, I press the knee down and activate my hip flexors. Left knee pressing down. You could, if you like, find this kind of a bit challenging in this pose. You could press your foot back into your hand to activate your quads. It's a really useful action when your quads are stretched out to activate them. Okay, it's going to be helpful later, but it might be challenging in this posture right now. So just give it a shot to press your foot back as if you're trying to unbend your knee. That would be straighten. Okay, and then release Ardha Bekasana on this side. Switch the forearm to the other side. Take your thigh stretch, Ardha Bekasana on the right. So always start with the breath and kind of a settling into the experience. A surrender to what is. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't change what you are capable of changing. A surrender to what is doesn't mean surrendering your actions. It's very careful to start with tapas in that conversation of effort. It doesn't, because it can be really easy to say, oh, surrender, I'll just not do anything, you know, or I'll put myself in this pose and I'll just surrender to the pain of it or whatever it might be. That is not what Yoga Sutras is talking about. Surrender to what we cannot control really is the conversation. It's surrender to the divine order of the universe, right? Not to your knee pain. So you want to avoid things like that by taking action, by putting effort in, tapas in. So you can press your right knee down into the ground, activating your hip flexors. You can also actively try to get out of the shape. That's a really great technique for flexibility, is to try to do the opposite of what the shape is doing to you. That gives your body the experience of control. It allows it to recognize that it is in control. And of course, we're not in control of a lot of things, but we are in control of our muscle engagements. So that's what Yoga Sutras is very careful to remind us of. Control what you can, not what you can't. Okay, and release. And unfortunately, we tend to do the opposite. When effort is required, we tend to just release effort. We release our control over what we can. Come to all fours. Take the right leg up to the sky, kick the sky, and you're gonna take your left arm into a cactus shape. We'll just pulse like this. We'll go down and inhale, up, 2 more. 1 more. And release. Second side, start by connecting to the posture. Okay. Now take a breath, get a little taller. and down. And up. Expand it. And down. And up. One more. And release. Inhale, arch the back, look up. Tuck the toes, downward facing dog. Full breath in. Full breath out. Tapas is that effort that we place into the challenges that we face when we step into our practice. We all know, we're very familiar with that that exciting experience of starting something new. Once you finally get over that first hump and you're like, wow, this is really great. But then eventually there's a second hump that happens that is like that experience where you have to put effort in because you're facing some sort of inner resistance. When we start to think that it's on the outside, that it's everybody else around us, it's their fault, it's their problem. When really we know deep inside it's our issue that we need to focus on. It's not time's fault. All we have is time. It's not money. It's just the fact that we haven't taken a step in the direction of the thing that is facing or causing us that challenge. So tapas is the reminder of the effort that we need to put in, and it needs to be recursive. It needs to be constantly addressed. You need to consistently step back into the challenges, especially when they get more intense. Walk the feet forward. So it's not just going to happen on its own, right? This is the reminder that we have to participate in the experience. Inhale, halfway lift. Press the backs of the legs apart and exhale, bow. And I love that about this teaching. It's not saying just, have a little faith and all will work out. It's asking you to be the participator in your own world. Interlace the hands behind the back and stretch the arms. It's very careful to say there is a divine order, that there is this energy, that there's a field, a magnetism, a power, a consciousness that flows through all of us. And at the same time, we have this unique opportunity as humans to be expressing ourselves as individuals, which gives us the privilege to experience both the heartache and the successes of our efforts. And it is up to us to do the inquiry, swadhyaya, tapas swadhyaya svara ishvara pranidhanani, kriya yoga. Hands to the hips, arch the back, rise up. And again, tapas, effort, swadhyaya is the self-inquiry or awareness that comes from self-inquiry. Ishvara pranidhana, surrender. On the next breath in, rise up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, bow, Uttanasana, forward fold. Halfway lift on the inhale. Step your left foot back. Listen carefully, a little something different today. We're coming into Virabhadrasana 1. So back toes turned out about 45 degrees. Press down through your feet and rise up, hands to the sky. Now, bring your hands, or at least your right hand can go on your thigh, left hand to your left ribs here. And you're going to press your left ribs forward to the front. And this is going to create a long line of energy, a stretching of the left psoas and abdomen here. Okay, so press the ribs forward. Now, take your thumbs underneath your armpits, lift up. Keep lunging forward, so keep the midsection forward as the ribs go up. Now, arms go shoulders back, arms back, shoulder blades retract, then they go up to the sky. Lift the gaze up, lift the heart up. Let's take a full breath in. Keep your weight forward, rib cage forward. Sides of the body tall. Shoulders up. One more breath. Release the hands behind your back. Turn the pelvis a little to the left. Shrug your shoulders up and then retract your scapula back behind you. Keep the retraction as you reach your hands back behind you. Stick your bum back and bow to the inside of the right foot.
Now, it certainly takes effort to do asana, and most of us recognize that when we put effort into asana, we get stronger. It's the same thing with the mind. It's no different. You put effort into self-awareness or self-inquiry, and it gets stronger. Awareness gets stronger. That's the part of us that we're trying to cultivate. And that can help both in perspective of recognizing and putting ourselves into a bigger experience, recognizing that we're not just limited to our societies, identities that we've formed for ourselves and other people have put us in these little boxes. It can also help us with perspective in our friendships, relationships, connections to other human beings. Okay, slowly release the hands to the ground. On the inhale, come to plank pose. Exhale, Chaturanga. Slide hands and feet wide. Inhale. Soften, melt the low back. Press the ribs forward and up to the sky. Exhale, release. All fours, hands and knees. Exhale to downward facing dog. Let's take 3 breaths. Inhale. Exhale. Strong in the legs. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Lift the heels up on the in-breath, look forward. Empty the breath, hop or step to the front. Halfway lift when you get there. Exhale and bow. Inhale, reach the arms back first, then up. Hands to the heart, Samasthiti. Inhale, back first, then up. And bow. Halfway lift. Right foot back. Again, back heel down, toes 45 degrees out. Rise up. Virabhadrasana 1. And then take the hands to your ribs. Slide the right rib cage forward. Stretch the belly up. Keep the ribs forward when you do that. Weight forward. Now, you can take your hands underneath your pectorals and thumbs underneath your armpits and slide the skin and shoulders up like you're being lifted away from the pelvis. Get light here. Take the right arm up, stretch as tall as you can go. Take the left arm up, stretch as tall as you can go. Lunge the rib cage forward. Let's do 3 more breaths. And release the hands behind your back. Slide the hands to the small of your back. Other interlacing, so other pinky on the outside. Shrug the shoulders up, pull them back, and then reach the hands back behind you. A little turn of the pelvis so you can bow to the inside of your left leg. 3 breaths. Now, if you try to press while you're here, try to press the pinky side edge of your hands toward each other. This is called external rotation of the arms. When you kind of press the pinky side edge, you'll feel your biceps rotate out a little. Release the hands on either side of the front foot. Inhale to plank. Chaturanga. 3-part cobra. Slide hands and feet wide. Inhale. Soften. Lengthen. Release. Come to all fours, hands and knees. Exhale it out. Left heel to the sky, right arm up. Reach your right shoulder blade back towards the spine in order to help you reach back for the left foot, sorry. So opposite hand, opposite foot. Now use your quad activation, kick your foot back, and press your left knee to your sky using your buttocks. If you have to readjust where your hand is, sometimes it feels better on the ankle, sometimes better on the foot. Your right shoulder blade is important. Move it towards the spine and open up your right chest. Your left quads are important. Kick your foot back into your hand
And then lengthen the chest forward as if you're doing warrior one. Pull the ribs forward. Press the rib cage forward and down towards the ground even. And then slow, release. Right hand to the ground, left knee to the ground. Second side. Right leg comes up, left arm comes up. Pull your left shoulder blade towards the spine to take a big reach back and grab the foot. Oops, camera's out apparently. Once you grab the foot, shoulder back, use your quads to kick the foot back into the hand. As you kick the foot back into the hand, the chest opens up. Get light in the upper body, but keep the midsection, the middle body, the low back and middle chest down. Get light in the back leg. It's like a bow. The center of it has to be moving forward. So the midsection down, heart, head, foot up. It can pulse a little. It doesn't have to just stay there. And slow, release. All fours, hands and knees. Tuck the toes, down dog. 3 breaths together. Lift the heels up on the inhale, look forward. Empty the breath, hopper step. Half lift, inhale. Exhale, bow. Bend the knees, chair pose. Hands to the thighs, lift the chest. Move the hips, knees back. Lift the chest so you're in a back bend. Take the arms into cactus shape, pull the shoulder blades together, retract the scapula, take a full breath in. There's effort that is required to get stronger in the body. That same effort is required in the mind. Ishvara Pranidhana is the surrender to the process. But the tapas is the actions that we take, that we participate within. Whereas the swadhyaya is the results that we get from our efforts. It's the awareness that we gain from our efforts, not necessarily the attainment of anything aside from awareness itself. Exhale, bow forward. So it doesn't say, effort and then goal. It says effort and awareness and surrender. Inhale, half lift. But the goal really is awareness in yoga. Step the left foot back. Let's come to warrior one. Rise up. Interlace the hands on the exhale. Shrug the shoulders, open the chest. Shoulder blades together. Exhale to the inside. We'll take one breath in here. As you exhale, slowly release the fingertips to either side of the front foot. Slowly straighten through the front leg, pivot the back heel up. Exhale, bow over the straight front leg. Listen carefully, we're adding on. Back knee comes down. Inhale, Anjaneyasana. Exhale, hands to the ground. Straighten through both legs again. Inhale. Exhale, bow. Bend the front knee, inhale. Down dog, exhale. Forward to plank, inhale. Chaturanga. Hands and feet wide. Inhale, lift the front body. Melt. Press the low ribs forward and down as the chest, front ribs and belly go up. Back of the neck up. Exhale, release. All fours, hands and knees. Tuck toes, down dog. Full breath in and out. Inhale.
Exhale. One more. Heels lift up, inhale, look forward. Empty the breath, hop or step. Halfway lift, inhale. Exhale, bow. Bend the knees, Utkatasana, hands to the thighs to help you lift. Form the arch in the back bend. We'll do a little pulsing of the arms. Bend the elbows, cactus shape. Retract your scapula. Exhale, do the opposite. Protract, separate your shoulder blades. Inhale, open it up. Retract, pull your shoulder blades together. Press the chest forward. Exhale, undo that. One more time. This time bow forward, exhale. Halfway lift, inhale. Right foot back. Back heel down. Warrior one, rise up. And exhale, hands behind the back, behind you. Catch the hands, pull the shoulders up and back. Inhale, reach back. Exhale, bow to the inside. Hold here for the breath in. At the tail end of your exhale, release the hands. Pivot the back heel up. Inhale, straighten through the front leg. And bow. Anjaneyasana, back knee comes down. Rise up. Exhale, release hands. Again, straighten through the front leg. Maybe flex your foot. And bow. Bend the knee, inhale. Step to down dog. Forward plank. Chaturanga. Hands and feet wide, inhale. Melt, low back, low ribs. Forward, belly up, heart up. Release. All fours. Please step your left foot outside of your left hand. Back knees down, right hand comes out to the right more. Open up. Peel the left shoulder blade towards the spine, open up the chest, bend the knee and reach for the foot. Twisted monkey. So we pull our knees toward each other, lift the hips up. Draw the foot in a little bit closer wherever it's, don't overdo it, of course. Just where you get a nice stretch around the level 5 out of 10. And just press the foot back into your hand now isometrically so you get your quads active. Now whenever it comes to stretching, there's an kind of a joyous surrender that most people are ready to embrace. Like when it comes to stretching, I don't have to do anything. When it comes to strength or stretching with integrity, includes participating, a lot of people will check out of that because we'd rather reduce the amount of effort we're putting into something. But effort is the privilege of life. Tapas is the privilege that we have as humans, the effort that we place into whatever it is that we do. Yes, it is an opportunity because it leads us to autonomy, freedom of expression, freedom to pursue whatever it is that we want to pursue in this life, okay, and release. Switch these sides, left knee back, right foot outside, left hand out to the left, reach back. And a lot of people might, put in an argument there, well, I don't want to pursue anything. And so then really when it comes down to, you ask a lot of questions when someone says that. And what they really want is to really enjoy the experience of being in the now. Now, if you want to enjoy the experience of being in the now, there is a pursuit towards that, and that pursuit is doing the practices that would strip away anything that would prevent you from being in the now. It's still a goal. It's still a pursuit. It doesn't matter what words you put on it.
it's still placing effort. And that's why in the Yoga Sutras, it's constantly referring to tapas, the effort that's required, because a lot of people would love to avoid effort. But if we remember that effort is actually the privilege of being a human, of being alive, of being a part of nature, everything in nature is putting forth effort in its existence, in its ability to express itself, right? Every tree, think about a tree, puts in tremendous effort in order to become an expression of nature. We too are the same. Okay, and release the thigh stretch. Okay, so real quick, I just wanted to go over upward facing dog was a question in the Facebook group. And, are there parts to upward facing dog? First of all, with upward dog, for most human beings, wider hands, so you can see my fingers are off the mat, and hands turned out is going to be much more accessible to getting a deeper back bend. And partially the reason why is because to really get upward dog in a powerful way, to be a back bend, there's many ways you can do it, many approaches, but if you want it to be a back bend, then you would have to get your shoulders back behind you. So come to the ground like you're going to come. Back. We have pout. We do. What is happening? Internal temp is high. Okay. Hey, okay, welcome back. Sorry everybody, apparently the cameras, two of my cameras are too hot. They've been practicing too much vinyasa and they're sweating a lot. So they said internal temp is too high. So I just switched the cameras and of course the audio that goes with that. So now hands wide is gonna be really beneficial. Shoulders back behind us. And I suggest you start from all fours, okay? Because coming from, so what if you do is you let the hips and midsection go down like this, and then try to get your shoulder blades to move back. Now, here's what it's not. This is shoulder blades forward. You're gonna see it doesn't look very different, but you'll see that. So here versus here. So I suggest always starting with bent elbows, okay? And I'm gonna tell you right now that I'm already too far back. So what I'm gonna do is move my knees forward. And this is going to be very awkward. Melt back. Now, at this point, I rotate my arms out. That gets my shoulder blades to retract more. And I pull my chest up. At this point, when I get to this point, then I can firm up my quads and lift my thighs. But that is a big, effortful pose. And most of you are not going to have access to that upward dog, which is why I teach three-part cobra most of the time. Excuse me, is because it will give you more access to a deeper back bend without so much intensity in the muscular system and required flexibility. Okay, so hands turned out on blocks is going to make your life a lot easier, and you can really get your shoulders back behind you, rotate the arms, and then you might kind of inch your way forward. Lift up, and perhaps you firm up your quads, or you keep your knees on the ground and work here. This is less required back bend when your hands are on blocks. But you got to learn how to press your low back forward in that upward facing dog. So I'll give you an opportunity to try that on blocks. And we'll spend another class on that as well. I just want to give you a moment of some of the cues in case I of course, cue upward dog instead of cobra. Those are some of the actions. Now, a simpler variation would be not putting as much of a back bend. So you do chaturanga, you roll the shoulders back, and then you just come up like this. But you try to avoid this kind of plank version by rotating the arms out and pulling the shoulders back. Okay, it's not my favorite pose. That's why I do cobra so often. It's because cobra is more effective in a back bend. But it is a great pose and it requires a lot of strength. We're going to do one more pose here before we wind down. So you take your left hand, grab your foot, Press your ribs forward, bend your standing knee, and then start to retract your left shoulder blade. So pull your shoulder back, stretch the chest. If you need to, you can massage a little bit the pectoral muscles. So open up the chest. Press the ribs forward, kick the foot back, right hand forward. Now, the objective here is as you kick your foot back, is to tip your body forward into Natarajasana. I like to keep the standing leg bent most of the time. You can, of course, straighten it. That is a great way to do it as well. And then you can come out. We're not going to hold it too long today. Second side. Reach for the foot. Again, you want to retract the right scapula to open up the right pectoral muscles. Bending the standing leg is going to help you to kind of let the midsection go down, which is what we talked about, releasing or surrendering in the midsection here. And then the effort really is in pulling your right shoulder blade back and kicking your foot back. That's where the effort has to stay. You can, of course, soften in between, in pulse. Tip the pelvis forward. And release. All right. Stand in Tadasana. Let your body recoup. Get long in the back body. All right. Bend the knees, take your fingertips to the ground. Stick the buttocks to the sky. Press the hamstrings apart and bow forward.
A few more breaths here. We're going to find a seated position. Just letting everyone know the camera had overheated. Okay. Any seated position of your choice. So now some of you are going to find that after doing a back bend, it's going to be way easier because your attention maybe can be held for longer because it spikes your adrenaline a little bit. Okay, it gives you more focus in the chemicals like acetylcholine and norepinephrine, which is adrenaline in the brain. Okay, and also cortisol. These are going to be released into the brain typically when you do back bends. So these are the same hormones and chemicals that are required for focus and attention. So in this meditation, we're going to try to focus on a mantra. And we can focus on this mantra of Ishvara Pranidhana. Now, if that is something that you're going to struggle with saying or whatever, Ishvara Pranidhana, or some will say Ishwara, depending on what part of the country or what part of India. So Ishwara or Ishvara, either way is fine. Ishvara Pranidhana. This is surrender to the divine order of the universe, that we are all expressions of consciousness. And so what you might want to say instead is just, I am all there is. Or surrender, may I surrender to the realization that I am all there is. Any version of that
I am all there is, or I am that is also okay. Or if you are courageous enough to take the leap and say Ishvara Pranidhana, it can help to negate any misinformation that the English language might provide for us. Ishvara Pranidhana. Ishvara Pranidhana. Ishvara Pranidhana. And the mantra is that you just simply repeat Ishvara Pranidhana. And what it helps you do is focus the mind and retract from sense perception. So if you are constantly focused your attention on Ishvara Pranidhana, Ishvara Pranidhana, then the senses will relax, the mind, the sense perceiver, manas, will settle down. The ego will start to dissolve because you're in that repetition of the mantra. Memory starts to dissolve. Even the intellect begins to relax since it's no longer needed in the repetition of Ishvara Pranidhana. Ishvara Pranidhana. And no need to even think about what does this mean. Just simply repeat. You could say anything, really. The repetition, the focus, the tapas, or the focus of your effort on one thing is what's most important. Ishvara Pranidhana, the tapas of repetition, the tapas of being in the now, the effort of being here, tapas. Ishvara Pranidhana, 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 Ishvara Pranidhana. Keep the mantra flowing. It can be quiet or it can be out loud. It doesn't make a difference. Only that you are repeating and staying focused on it. Ishvara Pranidhana. And if you see the mind gets distracted, you just bring it back to the mantra. This is the practice, the recursive, effortful repetition of the mantra. Start to observe yourself. Observe the part of you that is reciting the mantra. Watch yourself recite the mantra. If you get lost in the observation, just return to the mantra, Ishvara Pranidhana, Ishvara Pranidhana. Then just kind of pull back a little bit from it and watch yourself repeat the mantra. If you like, you can take a Shavasana now, or remain seated if you prefer. Try to become the observer. Witness yourself reciting the mantra. Bring your awareness back now to your breath. begin to deepen your breath. Awaken the fingers and toes. Stretch the arms. If you're in Shavasana, roll to your side. Come up to a seated position. Place the hands at the heart. And we take a moment to bow in honor of this body and the energy that pulses through it. This is a moment to surrender to the divine order of the universe itself, that consciousness is pulsing through this body in the form of this body, in the form of our thoughts. Consciousness is taking form, expressing itself in the shape of us. And with gratitude for that expression, because we get to have a brief moment in time to experience life, we bow in. And we use this time to our fullest, to not avoid the gift of effort, in order to develop a greater sense of awareness of all that is, both within us and all around us. Namaste. Okay, so real briefly, I want to address Kristen's question. I'd like to keep the alertness of the practice. And she said that she would like to sign off now. Any thoughts on that? So my suggestion would be, if you like to, like right now we're after that meditation, many of you are going to be kind of in a still point. Let me see if I can turn on another camera real quick. See if okay. And so instead of checking out before meditation, because, well, that's totally a valid point. You know, you want to do a little bit of asana, stay awake, and then go about your day. That's totally a tool you can use. But if you want to do meditation as well and then bring yourself back up, the best thing you do is come out of the practice with asana. So for example, you can come to a standing Ardha Uttanasana, feet wide. Lift your hips up, press the backs of your legs apart. Energize your back muscles by lifting, getting light on your fingertips. Now squeeze your legs toward each other. And then you would bow over yourself. I want to come into this asana gently, so come halfway lift. And bow. One more, halfway lift. And now step your left foot back. Come to warrior one. And it's a little bit calmer. Slower movements, slower, steady breaths. And with each breath, you'll start to wake up more and more. You can interlace the hands behind your back and just repeat how we started, how we got there. Bow to the inside of the right leg. Release the hands. Step forward. Step the right foot back. High lunge, rise. Get strong, get lifted. Hands behind the back. Open up. And bow.
Release the hands. This time come to plank. You're going to start to feel your energy rise again. Exhale, Chaturanga. Slide the hands wide. Inhale, 3-part cobra. Melt.
Lengthen. Release.
All fours, hands and knees. Down dog. Full breath in. And out. Walk, step, or hop to the front of the mat. Get there, inhale, lengthen. Exhale. Chair pose.
Hold. 2 more breaths. Last breath. And release. Now, you go about your day. Or if you need, you add a little bit more on, but you're going to notice that just doing those few asanas like that your attention is going to come back, right? So you can learn to utilize these practices to shift between the 2 sides of the autonomic nervous system, the 2 sides, the sun and the moon, right? So Ida and Pingala. So if after meditation you're feeling a lot more Ida, you're feeling a lot more moon, and you got to be more awake, we'll go back to the asana to rejuvenate, to get back into that. And suddenly you can see in my energy, right? Even just from a moment ago, I can be really direct, really alert, and communicate now just from a few asanas, right? You're telling your nervous system which side of it do you want to stimulate, and that's totally possible. And I recommend doing stuff like that. Maybe we'll do a whole practice where we intentionally can shift back and forth. You don't want to do too much, obviously, because you don't want to confuse your body, but there's certainly things you can do pretty easily to switch back and forth. So hopefully that was helpful, and some of those of you that participated. Thank you, Debbie. Glad that you were here and enjoyed it. Thank you, Nadini. Nice to have you here. I'm glad you loved the class. Sabui, I feel amazing. Thank you, Matt. I feel I could stay in meditation for longer and felt wonderful to take the gaze inwards and turn off the external stimulation. Awesome. That's great news, Sabui. Thank you for a great class from Patty C. Wonderful to start your Saturday. Awesome. Great to hear that, Patty. Mikhail says, thank you, feeling so calm. Patty R. Ramkunas says, thank you for a wonderful class today. Thank you, Patty. Nina Eckhart says, loved reciting Ishvara Pranidhana as the mantra, beautiful effect of the feeling of unconditional joy. Thank you a lot, Matt. Yes, Nina, thank you. Petty says, thank you a lot, Matt. That's very exciting. What I needed today. Awesome. Thanks, Petty. All right. Lots of love, everybody, and have a beautiful day. Hope you enjoyed yourselves. See you on the next one. Take care.